Daily Words of God. One stage of the work of the two previous ages was carried out in Israel, and one was carried out in Judea. Generally speaking, neither stage of this work left Israel, and each was performed upon the first chosen people. As a result, the Israelites believe that Jehovah God is only the God of the Israelites, because Jesus worked in Judea, where he carried out the work of the crucifixion. The Jews view him as the Redeemer of the Jewish people. They think that he is solely the King of the Jews, not of any other people, that he is not the Lord who redeems the English, nor the Lord who redeems the Americans, but the Lord who redeems the Israelites, and that it was the Jews whom he redeemed in Israel. In actuality, God is the master of all things. He is the God of all creation. He is not only the God of the Israelites, nor of the Jews. He is the God of all creation. The previous two stages of his work took place in Israel, which has created certain notions in people. They believe that Jehovah did his work in Israel, that Jesus himself carried out his work in Judea, and, furthermore, that he became flesh to work. And whatever the case, this work did not extend beyond Israel. God did not work in Egyptians or Indians. He only worked in the Israelites. Thus do people form various notions and delineate God's work within a certain scope. They say that when God works, he must do so among the chosen people and in Israel. Save for the Israelites, God works upon no others, nor is there any greater scope to his work. They are especially strict when it comes to keeping God incarnate in line, and do not permit him to move beyond the bounds of Israel. Are these not all just human notions? God made all of the heavens and earth and all things. He made all of creation. So how could he restrict his work to only Israel? If that were the case, what would be the point of him making all creation? He created the whole world, and he has carried out his 6,000-year management plan, not only in Israel, but upon every person in the universe. Regardless of whether they live in China, the United States, the United Kingdom, or Russia, every person is a descendant of Adam. They are all made by God. Not one of them can escape the bounds of creation, and not one of them can separate themselves from the label of descendant of Adam. They are all God's creatures. They are all the offspring of Adam, and they are also all the corrupted descendants of Adam and Eve. It is not only the Israelites who are God's creation, but all people. It is just that some have been cursed and some have been blessed. There are many agreeable things about the Israelites. God worked upon them in the beginning because they were the least corrupt. The Chinese do not bear comparison to them. They are far inferior. So, God initially worked among the people of Israel, and the second stage of his work was only carried out in Judea, which has led to a lot of notions and rules among man. In fact, if God were to act according to human notions, he would only be the God of the Israelites, and would thus be incapable of extending his work to the Gentile nations. for he would only be the God of the Israelites, and not the God of all creation. The prophecies said that Jehovah's name would be magnified among the Gentile nations, that it would spread to the Gentile nations. Why was this prophesied? If God were only the God of the Israelites, then he would only work in Israel. Moreover, he would not spread this work, and he would not make such a prophecy. Since he did make this prophecy, he will surely extend his work among the Gentile nations, among every nation and all lands. Since he said this, he must do it. This is his plan, for he is the Lord who created the heavens and earth and all things, and the God of all creation. Regardless of whether he works among the Israelites or throughout the whole of Judea, the work he does is the work of the entire universe and the work of all humanity. The work he does today in the nation of the Great Red Dragon, in a Gentile nation, is still the work of all humanity. Israel could be the base for his work on earth. Likewise, China can also be the base for his work among the Gentile nations. Has he not now fulfilled the prophecy that the name of Jehovah shall be magnified among the Gentile nations? The first step of his work among the Gentile nations is this work, the work he does in the nation of the Great Red Dragon. That God incarnate should work in this land and work among these cursed people is particularly at odds with human notions. These are the lowliest people of all. They have no worth, and they were initially forsaken by Jehovah. People can be abandoned by other people, but if they are abandoned by God, then no one is more devoid of status. No one is of lower worth. For a creature of God, being possessed by Satan or being abandoned by people is something that feels very painful. But for a creature to be forsaken by the Creator means that they could have no lower status. The descendants of Moab were cursed, and they were born in this backward country. Without a doubt, of all the people under the influence of darkness, the descendants of Moab have the lowest status. Because these people have heretofore been of the lowest status, the work done upon them is best able to shatter human notions, and is also most beneficial to the whole of God's 6,000-year management plan. Doing such work among these people is the best way of shattering human notions. And with this, God launches an era. With this, he shatters all human notions. With this, he ends the work of the entire age of grace. His first work was carried out in Judea, within the bounds of Israel. Among the Gentile nations, he did not do any work to launch the new era. The final stage of work is not only carried out among the Gentiles, but even more so among those who have been cursed. This one point is the evidence most capable of humiliating Satan, and thus God becomes the God of all creation in the universe, the Lord of all things, the object of worship for everything with life.